Iran, Persia has been part of our history for thousands of years. Cyrus the Great, the head of Persia at the time, actually liberated the Jewish people and paved the way so they can go back to Jerusalem, rebuild the temple. Our alliance with Persia dates back, like I said, thousands of years. But let's go to 1979. 1979, I was 18 years old, living in Brooklyn, New York, when all of a sudden I learned about the revolution. When the Shah went into exile and the Ayatollahs, the Khomeini, took over, and the Jewish people had to flee Persia. They fled to Israel, they fled to Los Angeles, and a large amount fled to New York. I was 18 years old at the time when that happened, and I remember being very involved in absorbing these little children, these Persian children who fled the country, leaving sometimes their parents behind, for us to look after them. We placed them in various homes, we fed them, we got them an education. Till this day, there are members of my community who remembers when they came to our community in 1979, when we absorbed them and looked after them, the refugees from then Persia, Russia. The way from Persia, Iran, the way the Jewish people lived during the Shah's days, they were living as liberated people, free to practice religion, and Judaism was thriving there. In 1979, Jewish Persians had to flee. Please listen in to this interview with the Prince of Iran, who had to run away to exile at the revolution. We are hoping that he will make a comeback, pick up where the Shah left off in 1979. After 40 years of terror reign, let the Persian people have a taste of freedom.
Brought about the Ayatollah Khomeini to power. The then Shah of Iran and his wife, Her Imperial Majesty Reza Pahlavi, were forced out of their homeland. This is them leaving at the airport. But under the Ayatollahs, the freedom that they promised never materialized. In fact, they cracked down, beating and imprisoning women who refused to wear the hijab, gay Iranians, anyone who dissents. Now the son of the late Shah, His Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi, who has been in exile, is advocating for a new future for Iran. He says he believes that the moment is now. He posted this on social media, quote, "The Islamic Republic has reached its end. It is in the process of collapsing. Khamenei, like a frightened rat, has gone into hiding underground and has lost control of the situation. What has begun is irreversible." I spoke with him moments ago, the exiled Crown Prince of Iran. Here's our talk. Crown Prince, thank you very much for joining us at this historic moment in time. It's good to have you with us.
Good afternoon, Martha. Good to be with you as well.
Tell me, first of all, Crown Prince, what is your understanding of what is actually the situation on the ground right now in Iran?
The latest report that we have had, Martha, is that the control apparatus of the regime is almost collapsing. And we see more and more of that sort of reports that are coming to us from personnel within the military or intelligence that says so, that it's really falling apart much faster than it was, let's say, last week. The problem, however, is that the regime has cut off the nation from any communication. Internet and even landlines are down. Families that are trying to figure out what's happening to their loved ones cannot communicate. And I hope that we can overcome this problem very soon, so the nation is not detached or unable to communicate, which, as you know, is crucial for anything that needs to be done. The regime is so desperate that it's now taking this initiative to impede on the process. But I know we will overcome this. It's a big challenge. And my competitors are extremely resilient. Many of them have stood, in Tehran, besides those who have left the capital city. And their resolve is amazing. Their courage is really amazing. It's a shout out to them that despite all the hardship, they believe that this time victory is near. And we need that courage and that moral support that the world needs to also give us, that this time they're going to be on our side rather than continue thinking that this regime will ever provide a solution. Historic opportunity to put an end to all the problems, not just the nuclear threat, but every other thing that has been associated with this regime ever since it took over. And I think my compatriots have proven that despite the threats, despite the repression, despite being executed, besides being tortured, besides being shot in the eye, they're still in the streets, standing firm, and hopefully at some point the world will say, now it's time for us to step in and allow for this process to take its natural course, help the Iranian people overcome this regime, because everybody as a result will benefit, not just my compatriots, of course, but I think many people around the world will understand how different in Iran, a different Iran could be for all of us.
We know that President Trump is currently considering the use of a bunker buster bomb on the Fordo facility in Iran, which is believed to have a nuclear facility buried deep into the ground. What would you say to President Trump as he considers that option?
One of the concerns that often is associated with hitting nuclear facilities is the risk of radiation. That could be something very important to contemplate. I hope it doesn't get to this point. I think there's enough damage done to the regime without having to take it to the next level. But if the objective finally is for this regime to completely collapse, the better element, much stronger than a bomb and much more effective, are the people themselves. I'll tell you something, Martha. In the past 48 hours, and of course even before that, but especially as a result of this latest campaign, many elements within the military have reached out to me. They're communicating the fact that they're ready to defect, they're ready to peel away from the regime, they're willing to join with the people and demonstrate that to the people. Some elements within the intelligence sector, as well as the bureaucratic setup. We are seeing more and more defections beginning to take place, which is something that I anticipated and I have called for, because they realize that it's pointless to stay there and try to defend a regime that doesn't care about the nation, that doesn't care about our country. And there are, at the end of the day, some proud nationalists. They believe in Iran's territorial integrity. They believe that their job is to protect the nation, not to kill people under the regime's orders. So this element is one of the factors that is beginning to happen. I hope that in any consideration that we have, including President Trump, he realizes that this is something that is beginning to become more and more tangible. So I think a strategic pause might be required at some point to allow that process to demonstrate itself and allow the regime to start falling on its own weight, so to speak. And we are living these moments as I speak to you right now. So I hope it doesn't get to a point that we have to go even further. But again, I'm not a military strategist, nor am I an advisor to the president. I'm just telling you that Iranians would hope that instead of our country being targeted militarily, and as painful as it is as a patriot to see that my country has been attacked, and I've always thought that we should try to avoid at the most possible such confrontation, just because diplomacy has failed, and instead allow for the process of change at the hand of the people themselves to take place. So I hope that they consider that as a critical factor, as opposed to our only option after failed diplomacy is further military strikes.
Understood. So you would not want to see the United States use this bunker buster at Fordo. Is that correct? You would discourage that?
Well, I hope that as the regime is crumbling, is that enough of a factor to have neutralized it sufficient that it cannot do anything harmful, at least in the immediate? Because the whole argument about striking is because of the imminence of the regime's threat. But they've been completely dismantled. The apparatus of air defense, the apparatus of retaliation is almost taken out. So I think that sort of pushes back a little bit the envelope, which would allow sufficient time for another phenomenon to occur, which is the one I just explained to you. Allow the Iranian people to overcome this regime, help them do that, because that option is always on the table. But what's the rush here? People are to them the ultimate factor. That's what scares the regime the most. So the more the people are empowered, the quicker we can reach that end.
So you have said that you don't seek power, but you are ready to fulfill a duty if called upon. If the people supported or asked you to return as Shah for a period of time during transition, would you be open to that option?
I don't think I need a title to perform as a transitional leader. I think the reason people are looking for me to play that role is because of their confidence in me, their trust in me, and I think to a great extent the track record that I've demonstrated in the past 44 years since I began. And that trust in me allows me to play that national leader role, if you will, and be able to be the element that assembles people together on a common agenda, knowing that we might differ in opinion, but we are committed to the democratic outcome. So I don't think I need to have any particular title. That would be putting the carriage before the horse, so to speak. Let us be focused on the job at hand. The job at hand is eliminate this regime and replace it with a secular democratic alternative. And this is exactly the end game that I'm looking at, and I'm not looking past that one at this time. I'm focused only on this mission, and I hope my competitors will understand that we need not prematurely discuss issues that will be determined down the line.
So he's encouraging the people to change the trajectory in Iran more so than the potential of a bomb destroying Fordo. So we're going to have more of our conversation in just a moment.
And this is
to Fox
indeed
News YouTube page
what
and
the
catch our
hopes
hottest
are,
interviews
that there's
and
going
most
to be a change of a regime, and he'll be able to be restored. How incredible would that be? That the prince will be able to come back to his country, at least, like I said, temporarily, until they have formal elections and they restore democracy. That would be a miracle of miracles. That would be miraculous times. So the truth is, we are standing now at the cusp of history. We are witnessing literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be able to neutralize the axis of evil. The Persians themselves, the average citizen, they want what Israeli citizens want: life. Live and let live. They're not part of this whole jihadist extremism of a death cult of the Iranian government. The average citizen doesn't want any part of it. They know what goes on in the Western world. They have learned of what life is like in America and in Israel and in Europe, that there could be living a life of freedom, instead of living a life where all your liberties have been taken from you. So let's pray, and we hope that there will be a change of the regime there, and that the prince will be able to return and make Iran great again. God bless you. God loves you.